Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Loud and Proud Mamas. I'm your host, Justine,
And I'm your host, Laura.
and we have a fantastic episode for you today. Kicking things off, my goodness, winter is here, and it started fast and hard, didn't it, Laura?
Oh, yes, so much so. We were so lucky with such a nice fall that was so warm that we're paying for it with a hard and fast winter, that's for sure.
Man, it really came really hard this year. It's beginning of December, and we already are piling on with the snow, which means getting out the door now takes 5,000% longer. Not only do you have to get ready with your own boots, your own jacket, your own toque, your own mittens, but now the baby needs his snow pants, he needs his jacket, he needs his little hat, and he's going to fight you. The whole time you're putting on this entire outfit, he's going to fight you every step of the way.
Oh, yes, we're definitely struggling with all the extra winter layers as well. And also just the amount of time it takes to get ready. I feel like I just finally got the hang of things and I got my time blindness a little bit under control. And then bam, now winter's here and it's recalibrated how long everything takes. And yeah, it's rough. And the forgetting certain things on the way to daycare, having to go back because you can't send your kid to daycare to play outside without boots or important things. So I've been overcompensating, and I now have an extra pair of indoor shoes for her that live in her bag at all times in case I forget to bring one, an extra pair of boots in her bag in case I forget to bring one, 2 hats, and 2 extra pairs of gloves, just in case.
Did you have to label all of your kids' clothing as well?
Yes, I did. Did I label it all? Probably not. I think I probably forgot a few. But the big snowsuit, yes. The big things, yes. Each little glove, I don't think I did, but...
My husband was so cute. We decided to embroider my son's initials on everything because we didn't want to pay money for any fancy labels or anything. And my husband saw me embroidering, and he just decided to pick up a needle and do some himself as well. So that was really cute.
That is really cute, and that's a really nice idea, and actually quite smart because... essentially, if you wanted to sell them later, you could just take out the stitching, right? And then you wouldn't have any names or labels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it doesn't fade. So it's very sturdy.
That's wonderful. No, we have just been Sharpieing the tags. So we're one of those people.
No, I mean, look, what works, it works, right? Who's going to argue with success?
Right.
How is your daughter with winter?
Well, with the start of daycare and then the start of winter and this virus season, it has been
rough. My God, yeah.
We're in the middle of yet another cold or virus. She just all day had a fever. Has not been feeling good. It's funny how, one minute they're sick and sleeping on you and really not themselves, and then you give them a good dose of Tylenol and bam, all of a sudden they're back to causing shenanigans and getting into everything. I love to see it, but it's funny how quickly it can shift. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Has your son been lucky with not getting too sick this past season so far?
We are really lucky. The day home that he is at is not at full capacity yet. So the virus spreading has been pretty limited, but we're waiting. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's hard. I hear it takes them a good year to go through all the viruses, get their immune system strong, and then it goes a little better from there. Until, that is, they start school, and then I heard that you get a whole new slew of viruses and things to go through.
Yeah, they're educated viruses. Speaking of the winter season, the holiday season is coming up, and I'm in need of some help from you because my son was born December 28th. So I have back-to-back holiday parties because I have Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and then pretty much my son's birthday. And I got family coming over, and everyone's making this a big deal because it's my son's first birthday. And everyone keeps asking me, what are you going to get him? What presents should we bring? And I'm like, I'm getting the kid a cucumber. Maybe I'll get him a mango and he'll be pretty excited about that. But I don't know. What is a baby's first birthday like? Because your kid already had her first birthday. What should I be expecting? Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Help me.
Okay, so wow, first of all, that is a lot. That's a lot of parties. And just two big firsts, first Christmas and also first birthday. Those are some pretty big deals. So yeah, I can see how this season is going to be jam-packed for you. And as for advice of the first, for my daughter's first Christmas, she was about 6 months old, and unfortunately she was really sick. It was her first major cold, and she couldn't enjoy it. Luckily I did a Christmas photo shoot for her before she got sick, so the actual Christmas I still had some nice pictures, but she basically just slept on us the whole time. So
Oh,
this year is kind of going to be like her first Christmas if she's not sick. So I'm excited to have all those experiences, and she's understanding more this year, so she's like going to be able to rip things. Like at 6 months old, she didn't understand. She didn't know what presents were. We still kind of not went all out, but we people got her toys and books and clothes, and it was nice. That was also only one big event, not a first Christmas and a first birthday. That's two back-to-back things. So I see what you're saying, and they don't really understand at that age. So I'm sure he'll love his cucumber and mango. As for first birthdays, I will admit we were one of those people who, when you hear people say the first birthday is for the parents and not the child, it's true. And we like parties. We like events. I love hosting, I like decorating, I like doing all of those quirky DIY activities. So we went all out, but it was in the middle of the summer, so there was time to do this. It wasn't like I was back to back with all kinds of other events. So I had a good amount of time to do party planning, and we also wanted to make it a big event where people who haven't met our daughter yet, or maybe they were there at the baby shower or at our wedding, but there hadn't been a big family party, we wanted to open it up so that everyone, kind of like a family reunion style, we could see everyone, we could enjoy. It was a little chaotic, but it was super fun. We even picked a theme. We did our daughter's name, and then we said
oh,
first chapter, and it was all book themed and storybook, and yeah, all fantasy, which is stuff that we like. And so yeah, it was pretty much a party for us, where we got to dress her up, and she looked cute, and she ate cake for the first time. That's a fun thing. That's doing that.
that is a good thing. Yeah, I think my son might like to try a little bit of cake. We keep him on a pretty low sugar diet. First bite of cake might be a pretty fun thing.
So what I did for that was I made her a small cake herself, and I did just a regular cake mix. But then for the icing, instead of regular icing, I did whipped cream with a low amount of sugar. So there was still sugar, but it was lighter. And then I just
Oh,
piped
yeah.
on the whipped cream. And that plus the actual cake was like a good sweet treat to her. And she loved it and stuck her whole face in it and just ate it all up.
That's really cute. That's really cute. Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna steal the cake idea with the whipped cream idea. I like thinking that, yeah, first birthday is more for the parents.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about what kind of theme I want to do.
No, it's a lot of fun. One other thing that we did, because again, people were asking what to get her, and like there's only, especially since we were inviting a good amount of people, there's only so many toys we could think of. So we told people, first of all, that like no gifts were necessary, like she doesn't understand. We really just wanted to spend the time with them. But of course, people insisted. So we decided to pool together. We said if people wanted to contribute to a fund for one big item, then that's what it went to. And we really wanted a nice swing set for the backyard that she could use for years to come, with a slide and a baby swing on it, and then bigger swings. So people just contributed towards this one item. And then we got to buy and put together this beautiful swing set for the backyard that we never would have been able to afford on our own. So that was really nice. And then we didn't end up with a million things. Sure, there were still some people who got her some toys and books and clothes, but it worked out well. It was really nice.
That's a good idea too, with the one big fund. I have a good mix of friends. Half have babies and the other half don't. And the half that don't have babies are always a little bit nervous about, oh, what should I bring? What should I get? So I think the idea of just contributing to a big pot of money to buy a really big gift might be a good stress-free way of feeling like you're still contributing.
Yeah. And especially I find if people know what it's going towards, like whether it be a college fund or you say what it is, then they're excited to be able to like see what's going to become of it. And, we posted a picture of her on her swing set after to show everybody. And it was a way to be like, look, you contributed to this great thing. Thank you so much. Especially because first birthday, like this is the biggest party we're going to have for her until she probably, if we do a quinceañera for her or a sweet 16,
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to milk it if I can. That might sound bad, but again, we really enjoy these kind of things.
That's really sweet. Those are some good tips. I appreciate those tips. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
So moving on back to our conception journey here on Loud and Proud Mamas, I wanted to know if you wanted to share the actual procedure for the insemination and what that was like and how that all went.
Sure. All right. So for me, I think I mentioned in the last episode that we did a medicated cycle. So what that meant was I had to take around my cycle. So you kind of have to track your cycle for a few months ahead of time. And then on your first day of your cycle, I believe it was, or no, maybe it was the third day. It's been a little while. Anywho, on a certain number of days before you ovulate, you start taking these ovulation pills. So I had 5 days of those pills to take, and they were basically just to stimulate the follicles, stimulate the ovaries so that you got a good egg release. So I started taking those, and then on day 3 of taking the pills, I had to go in for an ultrasound just to see how the follicles were growing. So the follicles are what are going to release the egg, so they can see that. And then it looked good, and then they told me a date to do a trigger shot. So it's a 1 injection that is going to be timed exactly for when the insemination is going to be. And it's exactly, I think, 36 hours from then. So you have to take it at a certain time, and that's what's going to release the egg exactly on the time you want it. So rather than it happening naturally, you do the shot and then it will release the egg. So they told us what time to do that, and they told us what time to come into the clinic. And we did that. We went into the clinic. We did the shot first. 36 hours later, we showed up to the clinic. The process itself was really quick. We just went into the same room where I had been having the ultrasound done. So it was just like a doctor's office, and there were stirrups like when you get a pap test done, and they put the speculum in. Maybe I should do a content warning if some people don't want to hear these words, if they're listening with kids around or whatnot.
Official content warning for Loud and Proud Mamas. We're going to be talking about speculums.
Speculums. Oh no. Maybe I'm overthinking this. Anywho, so they put a speculum in, and then it was just, first they showed us our little vial of donor sperm, and they asked us to confirm that that was the correct one. And my wife took a picture of it and then loves to show people the photo and say, or first she says, "Do you want to see the first picture of our daughter?" People are like, "Yes!" And then she shows them this, and it's pretty funny.
That's pretty trollish. I enjoy that. That's a good bit. I like that.
Yeah. Anywho, so then what they did was they had this long tube with kind of like a thin, flexible tube that had a syringe at the end of it. And I guess they put the speculum in, fed the tube through the cervix, and then squirt the specimen in. And then they said to keep my legs up for 5 minutes, and then they said we can go home. And that was that. Then 9 months later, we had a baby.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Did they tell you to show up with a full bladder?
I don't remember. I think they did, because I think that is the procedure, but I don't fully remember. I do remember they told me to cough, and I was doing like these fake coughs and they weren't working, so my wife made me laugh. And then the laugh worked. So, but I don't remember feeling like I had to pee at the time. It's very possible, but it's not coming to mind.
I remember having to pee. Do you want to know why I remember having to pee, Laura?
Tell me.
Okay, so mine is I was an unmedicated. So basically the way it works is you announce your day 1, which is the day that your period starts. So you call up the clinic and you're like, "All right, my period started, get ready for me." And they're like, "Cool, start your ovulation testing." So basically you can buy this at the drugstore. We bought it from Amazon. It's kind of the same idea as a pregnancy test. You're basically peeing in a cup and you dip these little strips in and you look for a positive test result. The LH surge, which is what you're testing for, happens 24 to 36 hours before the egg release. So once you get the LH surge, you call the clinic and you're like, "Hey, it happened." You have a special number that you call, so there's no hold time or anything. So you call them and they're like,
That's important.
yeah. So call you back and they give you an appointment for 24 to 36 hours from the LH surge. For us, it was the next day. They tell us, okay, this is very important. Show up 10 to 15 minutes before your appointment and show up with a full bladder. Okay. I am a rule follower. So it's about an hour and a half drive all the way up to North Montreal for us. And 40 minutes before we get there, I'm chugging a big water bottle, like 750 milliliters, because I am a rule follower and I expect that the rules will be followed. So I show up there 10 to 15 minutes before my appointment with a full bladder. And they're like, "Cool, wait here." So they take me into a little room. They have me undressed. I got my legs up on the stirrup and I wait for 40 minutes with a full bladder. And I can't pee because they have told me that a full bladder is important for the procedure. The sperm
Oh
is
my
already
god.
thawed and ready to use. So if I go to the bathroom and relieve the enormous pressure I am feeling, potentially this whole thing is going to be ruined. So I am just staring at the ceiling for 40 minutes with a full bladder waiting. And then same thing, they come in, you have to read the number on the little sperm specimen. Same thing,
Oh
they
my
have a
god.
rubber catheter, they poke you in there. It's very quick, very painless. And then they're like, "Wait 10 more minutes." And let me tell you, Laura, those were the longest 10 minutes of my life. Just sitting there being like, "Oh God, oh God, oh God," just keep holding on. So I had a full bladder for pretty much an hour.
Oof. That sounds terrible to me. I hate having to pee
Yeah.
so much. So I understand you.
Oh my God. It was real bad. And when I finally peed, I was like, I really hope I didn't pee
Oh
all the
gosh.
sperm out.
Not sure that's how it works, but I feel your pain.
Either way,
That sounds really
it
rough.
was not ideal. It was not ideal. But in the end, it did work. So I guess all that suffering was worth it.
Yes. So I didn't have that experience with my insemination, but on an ultrasound that I went to, they told me to have a full bladder. And I normally have a pretty small one to begin with. But I also followed the rules and I showed up with a full bladder, and they also made me wait, except I couldn't handle it and I was sweating and crying, and I was literally crying, and I went and I said, "How much longer? I can't hold it." And they're like, "Just go a little bit. Just go a little bit." And I'm like, "I don't think I can do that." It was very difficult, but I did, and I survived. But that was me waiting for maybe 15 minutes with a full bladder. So I cannot imagine 40 minutes with legs up to be also and all of that. Nope, sounds terrible.
Those ultrasounds, they dig hard into your abdomen. They are
Yeah.
pushing that
Oh,
wand
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. Yeah. They are rough for sure.
Yeah, I like it once the baby is a little bit bigger and it's easier to
Yes.
see the baby with
Yeah.
the wand.
For sure. So let us know, listeners, if you had a different experience, if you went through the same process. It's always interesting to see to compare and contrast. I think it's pretty cool that Justine and I both did similar processes, but they had their differences.
Yeah, I always think it's so cool the different ways that fertility journeys take, and I'm pretty happy with mine, but it's interesting to know that it could have gone differently as well. I'm not sure why
For
they gave
sure.
me an unmedicated cycle. They just kind of, I didn't ask too many questions, and maybe I should have, but they were just like, no, just start testing for your ovulation and go for it.
Well, they do have, there's something called so it's OHSS, and it's over hyperstimulation syndrome, or ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, or something like that. And this is something that can happen when you take fertility medications, and it basically makes your ovaries overproduce, grow too much. And they can grow so much that they fill with fluid, and there can be mild versions and severe versions. And the severe one is pretty intense. But if you did the baseline testing and already had a good number of follicles, then it's possible they didn't want to risk giving you any medication, because that puts you at a higher risk of having this syndrome.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, that is something that my doctor mentioned to me, because I did have a good count at the beginning, but I had other factors in my cycle that made it so that they weren't sure how I was going to respond. Like, I always had a very light cycle and a very short cycle. So I think that's why they probably went the medicated route for me.
Yeah. No, my cycle is a little bit longer. I'm more of a 31-day cycle, but 5 days, moderate to heavy. Yeah. So I guess that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, that's just a guess, but I do have to say my heart goes out to people who have trouble with, or who are also on a fertility journey and are struggling with it. I didn't have the challenges with it, and I still found it a really grueling process. So I can only imagine how difficult it is for those families who are having a rough go at it.
Our heart goes out to you, listeners, wherever you may be. So moving on to our next topic. So, Laura.
Yes.
The NDP leadership race. As listeners know, the NDP leadership race is coming up. We currently have 5 contenders in the field that we can pick to be the NDP leader. And, depending on who you ask, it's a tight race, or, there's a clear front runner. Personally, for me, I'm narrowing it down between 2 options. Option number 1 is Avi Lewis, and option number 2 for me is Rob Ashton. So I'm just going to quickly tell you what I think, and maybe you can tell me a little bit of what you think of my thoughts. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. So number 1, Rob Ashton, big union guy. I'd compare him a little bit to Sean Fain from the United Auto Workers back down in America. For any American listeners that we may have, his big thing is he wants to make it easier to join a union. He wants to repeal and replace the temporary foreign workers program, get some more fair rules for fellow workers to get permanent residency, and not be in fear of losing their jobs and their residency at the same time. So that's pretty good. He's got a really interesting proposal that he wants more public ownership for homes. So instead of using public land and putting private developments on it, putting more public homes on it. And in theory, these public homes would remain affordable because they're not subject to market fluctuation. So you know how rent is constantly going up, and then sometimes it goes down a little bit, but mostly it goes up. In theory, these homes would be affordable forever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so that would be pretty cool. So that's option number 1, Rob Ashton. I think he's got some interesting ideas. You always love to see a union leader getting involved in politics, especially with the strike breaking that we've had. If Canadian listeners remember Air Canada, Canada Post, the dock workers, we've had a lot of forced back to work laws being implemented, and I'm hoping if Rob Ashton does come in, he's able to mitigate some of that. So that's option 1. Option number 2 is Avi Lewis, that I've really been interested in. He's got some really interesting proposals. The one that I am most interested in is public grocery stores.
Oh.
Yeah, public grocery stores. I have been on this train for about 5 years now, If fellow listeners are brewheads, fans of the Brunigs, Matt Brunig, I've been on public grocery stores ever since Matt Brunig got me into this. And so the idea is, instead of having a private company like IGA, Loblaws operating a grocery store, you can actually have your government operating the grocery store, and instead of inflating the cost of bread, the cost of vegetables,
Hmm.
you have different incentives to provide food for the community. Avi Lewis is predicting he can bring down the cost by 30 to 40%
Wow.
through public grocery stores. Yeah, because he would have, different supply chains going around in communities. I'm really interested in public grocery stores. That's been a big one for me that I've been following for many years now. If we have American listeners, Zoran Mamdani he's the newly elected mayor
Oh,
of New York. He's also big on the public groceries. Seems like it's an idea that has been catching a fire a little bit.
I had never heard about them before.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Especially because they're predicting, at least here in Quebec, that the cost of groceries in the next year is going to go up by like another $1,000+ per family, and that's already it's so many people are struggling just to put food on the table. So that sounds great.
Yeah. It's just you do the best you can for your family. So if the government is helping you in that regard, I'm in favor of that. And like Rob Ashton, he has a similar public ownership for homes. He's got a couple more public ownership ones. Another one that's really interesting is he wants to bring back public pharmaceutical manufacturing, which I didn't know, but prior in the 80s, during the Brian Mulroney government, Canada actually did have public pharmaceutical manufacturing, and then Mulroney's government privatized it. So he's looking to bring that
Mm.
back. So again, that would be another cost that could potentially come down, is the cost of our prescription.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, two very good options, I feel like.
It sounds like one of them has a few more good points from what you were saying compared to the other, or you definitely talked a little bit more about one than the other. So that might be a tell as to which one you would want to pick. But you'll see when the time comes.
Yeah, I'm hoping we have a very good turnout with NDP members. So, listeners, if you're listening, you still have time to register as an NDP member, and you still have time to put in your vote when it comes time to vote. I recommend it. I always recommend participating in the political process, and leadership races are always kind of interesting. The Liberal leadership race was also a really interesting one, even though Carney was a clear front runner from the beginning. It's still fun to talk to the candidates and kind of see what direction they want to take the party in. In Canada, it's interesting because we have the two big parties. We have the Liberals and the Conservatives, but we do have a plurality of parties, and just because you're not going to win first or second doesn't mean that, if we have a minority government, third place all of a sudden becomes very important, because that's how you're going to build your coalition. So, these things are interesting, and listeners, I'm curious what you think about the NDP race, if that's something that you're following, and if it is, let us know in the Instagram comments. Are you Rob Ashton? Are you for Avi Lewis? Or are you for a completely different candidate and you're excited about different policies that they're bringing up? And this has been the NDP leadership recap. I promise we're not going to turn into a political podcast, but I did want to just talk about that briefly. So thank you for indulging me.
I have to say, it's very helpful that you have all the info when it comes to politics, because I do not. So it's a good way for me to get quickly informed.
No, I mean, I'm always happy to chat, and I have friends and family of all different political persuasions. So if you're not particularly in the NDP party, we'll still be friends.
Not saying one way or another, but I have seen in family or extended family or in-law family, I'm not naming names or pointing people out, but there has definitely been some political upheavals that have traumatized me a little bit. So I just keep my thoughts a little bit to myself, just in case.
I'm Albertan, right? So I have noticed something really interesting about millennial Quebecers. And that is that it seems almost impolite to talk about politics kind of openly. Does that make sense? Like, my husband's very uncomfortable with it. The friends I've met through my husband, keep their political opinions very private. You as well. And in Alberta, I think there's less hesitancy to share about your political opinion.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think, like I said, it's even in friend groups I've seen, not me and anyone else, but I've seen certain friends have bits of falling out or because of political affiliations. And I respect everyone can have their own political opinions, but especially on a public forum like this, I'm like, I'm just not gonna share. I'll tell you after, though.
Fair enough.
Stay online, Justine, and we can chat.
Yeah.
But yes, there seems to be a bit of a difference.
Well, Alberta tends to vote very conservative. So if you happen to be on the left persuasion on the spectrum, you do have to be ready to debate a little bit on a more regular basis, just because that pressure of conservativeness is just so strong that you got to be ready with your args. You know what I mean? You got to have the arguments ready to go because they come up frequently. Or maybe it's just my family. Maybe it's just me and my family. I don't know.
No, I think you might be right. Again, listeners, if you're from all around, let us know. What is it like politically where you are? Do you talk openly about politics? Is it very hush-hush? Like, we're curious.
Yeah, did you turn us off because I started talking about the NDP? Let us know as well. So moving on to our final topic. Is it the final topic? Let me check.
It is. It is our reoccurring segment of My Social Awkward Moment.
It is our beloved segment, My Awkward Social Moment of the Day. And Laura, I have a good one.
Oh, I am ready.
Okay, so over the weekend, I took out the 11-pound commercial sausage stuffer and I made... And I made some beautiful bratwurst. I got a beautiful 7-pound pork shoulder from Costco. And I got all my spices out. I bought some nice cream for the sausage. And we made about 35 to 6-inch sausages, which were great.
Wow.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And my son can eat them because it doesn't have any nitrates in them. Sometimes when I make sausages like kielbasa, you put Prague powder #1 in there, and it's fine for adults. So it's just babies shouldn't have them. Kind of like the same like hot dogs, stuff like that. But this is just like ginger, nutmeg, pepper, regular salt, and cream. So he can totally have all of that. So very exciting. I made bratwurst. And then on the same day, we went to my husband's Christmas party, which was very fun. And it's a really fun group of people. We're all sitting at the table, we're chatting, we're laughing, and I'm talking to this very nice Francophone woman, and she's bilingual. She's speaking English to me, but French is her first language. And we start talking about the bratwurst, and she's like, wow, that's so cool. You guys made sausages. And I'm showing her photos, and she's so into the whole process of the grinding and the stuffing and everything. And she's like, oh, Justine, we should have a sausage party.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, no. Because we're kind of like at a work function. Like, it's not at work, but it's a work Christmas party. And I'm like, oh, you can come over and you can like eat some sausages whenever you want, and we can make sausages together. You just can't call it a sausage party. And she's like, oh no, it's okay. It can just be you and me. It doesn't have to be a big party, just a little sausage party.
Oh my
and
God.
I'm like, oh no, you got to stop saying sausage party. And so, finally, very awkwardly, I explained the English connotations of what a sausage party is. And she was very horrified, but she had a good sense of humor.
Oh, at least.
About it. We moved on from there. But yeah, that's
so funny. Oh my gosh.
You gotta be careful with the English to French, because sometimes you can have a very innocent sausage party in French, but that's not what that means in English.
Not quite.
So that was the sausage party story.
Wow. Yeah, I could see how that could be a moment a little awkward there for a second.
You got anything else for us today, Laura?
I think that sounds good. I think we covered a lot of different things today.
Yeah. Alrighty, listeners. So if you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram, Loud Proud Mamas, and anywhere you can rate and review podcasts. Please leave us a beautiful 5-star rating. We'd be so grateful for you. And that has been our episode 5 of Loud Proud Mamas. You want to take us out, Laura?
Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a great night.